Thank you, Mr. Munoz. 5.03 Superintendent's Update, 2011, 2019, and Year in Review, 2018, 2019.
Okay, I'm going to have to grab my other piece of paper. Since I'm an old person that likes paper copies when technology doesn't work, so I'm going to do that. All right. Now, this is, to be honest with you, we used to do this and then we stopped a couple years ago. To be honest, we don't recall why we stopped, but my understanding, I'm not through watching all of the study session yet. I've gotten through an hour and 20 some minutes of it, but and maybe I misunderstood, but I thought it was requested at that time for us to come back to doing this, so we're doing it. But interesting, typically superintendents do this like after they retire and they're done, they just kind of reflect on how things went. But one of the cabinet members said, well, let's brainstorm what's things that have happened since you came in 2011. So, and I'll be honest with you, I was like, oh, gosh, we've accomplished, I want to make sure I say we, them, you, all of our staff, we've accomplished a lot in the last 8 years. So I'm going to try to highlight as many of these as I can. We have all-day kindergarten district-wide, which we didn't have in the past. We've added 2 early learning schools, Mighty Oaks and Hoover. We've sold Golden Hills Learning Center. We opened up and repurchased the Market Square building and turned that into a really nice ALC building. We've expanded our partnership with Mayo Clinic, and they are now have taken over our clinic at ALC and providing the physicians at no charge to the district. We've had a greater focus on safety and security. Not all of our schools, but many of our schools have secured entrance. We have the Raptor program when people come in and visit and volunteer, they'll run through that. And we have a crisis professional development training we provided. We've built and going on, just finished our 3rd full year of CTEC, which provides opportunities for about 1,800 students every year. We've increased our graduation rate. Not only, I guess what I'm most proud of in that area is not so much that every year we've increased, but if you look at our subgroups, our students of color within, over that period of time, they have shown a substantial increase. I think when we went over the results of our graduation, when we look at our blacks, Hispanics, and special ed, we're far exceed the state average in those different categories. We've improved our partnerships in the community with the police department, Mayo Clinic, Olmsted County, City of Rochester, Winona State University, and Prairie Care. We've increased the technology usage across the district. And I've had many staff, veteran staff, I won't say old staff, but veteran staff say that the district in the last few years has had more emphasis on equity than they've ever had since they've been in the system. So that's something that we're really proud of. Not only has the focus been there, but we've added the equity specialist, the American Indian liaison, and we have a district-wide equity leadership team. We provided training in culturally responsive classrooms, Envoy, and we've completed all the components of a OCR agreement, which I think is quite an accomplishment. We purchased the former People's Co-op building and turned that into our facility service center. We developed and become a state model for community school partnerships at the ALC Gage and Riverside Elementary. We've started the Project Search program, which is for our students with disabilities, where they do a full year of internship at Mayo Clinic. And I do believe all of the students that have graduated through that program over the years have sought or have employment. We were part of, instrumental in passing of the T21. The county passed the T21 law, which is something that we really helped in partnership with Olmsted Public Health and Mayo Clinic to really promote that. We're a very active partner in the Cradle to Career. Many of our staff and board members are part of that leadership table. We've increased the mental health programming services. 2 of our schools have been identified as National Blue Ribbon schools. Our Hawthorne Education Center received the Harvard's 2017 Innovation in American Government Award. We've received the Golden Achievement Award from the National School Public Relations Association for our future generations and our rebrand that we did. If you remember, we rebranded our district, and the community actually, it was a competition to select our logo that's on the back of the wall there. And we've implemented a new ADA compliant website this year. And we have refinanced 2009 debt that we've had and resolved in savings for the district. We've implemented an APEX program at the LC. This coming year, we'll launch Incubator EDU, which will be the first entrepreneur program in the state of Minnesota. We've had the elementary Right Fit program, and we'll be doing the middle school Right Fit. We've created a strategic plan and also updated the strategic plan and created a graduate profile with the help of our stakeholders. And we have implemented a district-wide Spanish immersion program. So, you know, I think a lot of times we get really busy in our work and don't take time to reflect on all the great things that we as a system have accomplished for our students. And it's when you do things like this that you really take the time and stop and think about all the great things that we have done. And all of you are a big part of that, because a lot of that you have to give us permission to do and support that along the way. So now we'll get into I've just rambled and didn't move the slide, or should have had you drive for me. All right, so now we're going to talk about just this past school year. In the area of business services, we've had a clean audit with an unmodified opinion this past year. Structurally balanced general fund from FY 18, 19, and 20. General fund has stayed above the board policy for 6%. We have added a high deductible health plan with an HRA or an HSA option. And if you need more clarification on that, John could explain it, because he did that yesterday at our meeting we were at. We reduced printing and copying numbers, which saves us money. And we, with our partnership with Synergistics, we have saved money because of energy conservation. In the area of C&I, when we talk about CTEC expansion, all 9th grade students visit CTEC in November. They get a tour. Counselors have open house where all middle school and high school counselors are invited to CTEC in October to hear about the different type of opportunities for students that are there, so they can, when they're talking to students, they're familiar with what's available for them. We have an elementary collaboration with Gage and Bishop students who have spent time at CTEC to learn about the different career opportunities that are available, even at the elementary age. We have career trees were developed highlighting entry-level, technical, and advanced degree career options. And then this coming fall, we're in partnership with the firefighters. This is Scott's favorite. Firefighters, we have an online hands-on course where students can be prepared to take that firefighter's test. So that's a new opportunity for our students. And then professional literacy option is where students this coming school year, the fall of 2020, where they can get an English credit along with one of the courses out at CTEC. You've heard a little bit about grading for learning. We've had 50 people on a task force meeting monthly to look at research-based grading practices in K-12, and starting the fall of 2020 with professional development occurring at district and building levels. I mentioned earlier that will be the first cohort at Incubator EDU will be coming on this fall. CNI also supported the study of fine arts curriculum, grades K through 12. Hired 2 elementary reading coaches to support teachers with core instruction, and provided voice and choice and professional development for staff. Also, they've involved students, and this is something that's really cool, that we had students working with hand in hand with teachers to update our secondary health class curriculum. So, as you know, we had some of them, I think a lot of them were from the student school board. They were telling us that it needs work, and they volunteered to help us do that. So we had students working with our teachers. We also had mental health professionals from Olmsted County and Mayo Clinic also working with us to do that. We had 151 teachers receive external coaching through Dr. Holly's coaching staff. We provided support and new resources for math, K through 11, and we continue to support the English language learners high school redesign process. So they have been working with that department. We established a committee on twice exceptional students. These are students who are gifted and have one or more disabilities. So we have a committee working on that. We collaborated with equity specialists, American Indian liaisons, and bilinguals, sharing information about opportunities for students and information nights for families. This way, when they're interacting with families, they're better informed on what's going on in our system. This year, they supported the AVID program, which was at John Adams and Willow Creek. And then they're in the process of making challenging math projects and enrichments ready available at the elementary teachers for their classrooms. In the area of community education, preschool served 264 young learners. Adult literacy at Hawthorne served over almost 1,700 adults in basic skills, high school diploma, GED, college prep, or citizenship prep. And then the Rochester Family Literacy provided 2-generational support for learning for 49 children, ages 0 to 5, and 30, which made up of 37 families. And then they opened up this year, we opened up the Hoover Early Learning School. Also in community education, fostering growth. I mentioned this earlier tonight, the 21st Century Community Learning Grant, and it identifies the schools that were part of that. And then I think what's really cool is not just what's provided in our school buildings, but we have some community groups that are getting funding to provide opportunities. One of those is a Somali group, and 3 of them, and then we're adding an additional one for the new grant. So it's not just what we're providing in our schools, but what our community partners are providing at their sites. School-age child care, SAC, served over 2,200 children, including non-school days and 9 snow days. Youth enrichment, they provided over 12,000 children and youth with opportunities through youth enrichment. And then also applied for a new 21st Century grant, which I mentioned earlier that we did receive. So now a couple of the high schools and ALC will be able to have some funding to provide after-school programming for their students. Okay, in the area of adult enrichment, provided over 9,000 experiences for adult community members in Rochester. Adults with exceptional abilities offered over 5,000 opportunities for new learning. And then parents are important to Rochester, or the PAIR program. We offered 359 community families the opportunity to learn new approaches, discuss concerns, and connect with other families. And then we also partnered with Mayo Clinic Healthy Living Program. In the area of communication and marketing, telling our story we had 353 digital news stories, we created 207 video productions, including the use of drones. Yeah, we do have a drone that flies around and takes video footage for us, and then through monthly newsletters, and over 10,000 social media followers can follow the district through social media. We've optimized our website presence by creating 27 new websites for our district, 24 PTSA sites, 3 Booster Club sites, and additionally, on our journey towards American with Disabilities ADA compliance, we've reduced the number of pages from 19,000 with more than 5,000 PDFs to 2,000 pages. And we're saving 500. We saved 500 trees this year which equates to over, well, there's the number, that's over 4 million sheets of paper for the school year because we use Peach Jar for our newsletters now. And then we ran district's first, hopefully y'all got a chance to see it, 30-second TV commercial. So hopefully we'll have more of those to come in the future. In the area of technology, the tech department is supporting employees through over 29,000 help desk tickets this year. They supported students with mobile devices, over almost 11,000 iPads and 2,600 Chromebooks. And we converted 28 labs to mobile devices in carts. And this was at the request of building administrators. Instead of having a desktop in a lab, they have mobile devices. As a warranty-authorized repair facility for HP, they repaired 176 laptops, 83 desktops, and 738 tablets and iPads. Software enhancements with students, online enrollment module in Skyward, and then they did a lot of work on the gender identity changes online process created in Skyward, informed an incident response team, and then we have an RPS tip line that could be, anyone can report something to the district. In the area of elementary and secondary education, focus on instructional leadership. Jackie's been working with the leaders to develop professional goals for the year and working with them around the 4 dimensions of instructional leadership. And that's through, she was part of the AASA cohort for 2 years on how to supervise and support building principals. So what she learned from there, which was the 4 dimensions of instructional leadership, she incorporated with our building administrators. Collaboration among leaders, they use a teamwork approach to share our insights and support. I kind of mentioned that earlier, that we do try to provide opportunities during our monthly administrative meetings where they can learn from each other and not just us doing all of that. And then I think somebody mentioned this earlier. No, actually, it was something that came up on the study session when I was watching it this afternoon. Instructional rounds. In the cabinet notes, they always comment about what they saw when they go through the instructional rounds. Jackie and Brenda and Carla, and then other buildings will go along with to see another building. They did 59 visits, and those visits are 3 hours at a time. It's not just in and out. It's 3 hours at a time at that school. And they visited 315 classrooms, and then they had follow-up time to debrief and work with the leadership team at that particular site. In the area of district-wide option enrollment, one of the things that we realized that at our district-wide schools, if a student would, let's say, move out of town mid-year, that spot might not have always been filled. So now Jackie's department is monitoring that. If a space opens up, we pull out the list and make that spot available to somebody. I'm assuming just the building just got so busy and didn't think about filling that spot, but she's created a system to monitor that and fill those spots when they open. Also along with that is one of the things that we heard during the task force work, and I think Mark, you remember that, the task force was, well, why are the class sizes and numbers different at the district-wide schools compared to the non-district-wide? And Jackie really made an effort this year to get those numbers closer to the other schools as far as enrollment. Exception to attendance, the process was revised to better align with school board policy. And then secondary enrollment support, a process to coordinate and guide mid-quarter enrollment of secondary students in collaboration with the school sites. We really didn't have a student from another town moved in mid-year and like, oh, how do we handle that? So they really worked with administrators to come up with a better process for that.
Quick note, if you don't mind, Mike.
Yes.
Is I noticed during our discipline data updates, the district-wide option numbers more closely reflect the student body as a whole as well, which was something that I know the district had worked on, because
Yes.
it wasn't necessarily representative but by the numbers reported, it looks representative to me.
Yeah, I think a lot of that, I think when, a few years ago, when the district took over the lottery system for all schools, I think that really helped a lot with that. Also, in elementary and secondary education, as far as area of behavior support, we have, as I mentioned earlier, we have a district data team, a group of leaders from all levels review student discipline data, identify trends from a district level, and brainstorm strategies to address that. And then the violation guidelines, she did get a group of administrators, principals, and assistant principals together to look at, can we better align our consequences for, if this behavior happens in building A and building B, can the consequences be more in line versus not? So they spent some time looking at that. In HR, Carl initiated a staff of color resource group, and I think Don had an opportunity to visit with that group, and we think the first year was kind of let's figure things out, but we're looking forward to more out of that group in the coming year. They onboarded 364 new employees during the school year, and then I'm not going to go over it, but you see the breakdown of the different groups. Started regular meetings with paraprofessional unions. He's always been meeting regularly with the teachers union, and then just started meeting with the paraprofessionals on a regular basis. And then additional standardization of staffing process for secondary schools. This was the second year that we did that. Before we had a standardization, they would just come in and say, we got 20 kids sign up for this. I need this 0.2 of a teacher, and we really started looking at, which I think we shared a little bit with you, a larger elementary gets a principal and an assistant principal, and a smaller elementary only gets his standard allocation is one administrator. So we really tried to work on that, and Carl's department did that. And then annual evaluation to paraprofessionals. Unfortunately, hate to admit, but we didn't have a tool to evaluate paraprofessionals. So Carl's office created that for the district. In area of student services, in area of partnerships, a new partnership with the Mayo Clinic. Not only are they providing the physicians at the clinic, they also are providing a district medical director, and what that person is, an expert who, if our nurses have a question, they can reach out to this person and get some guidance on some of the really challenging things that they have to deal with as a school nurse. We also have CitySpan United Way partnership. This is a database sharing tool, and we're because of our partnership with United Way, we're going to start using that to measure success with our community partners. Results-based accountability, 3 community school site facilitators and partnership specialists in conjunction with the Cradle to Career staff were trained in that results-based system. And then HRA and regional continuum of care partnered with the Housing Redevelopment Authority and regional continuum of care to support programs for students in transition. In the areas of grants, curriculum, and programs, community health workers partner grant with IMA and Bridges Collaborative to cover the cost of two of our bilinguals got trained, so they're more familiar with all of the resources that are available in the city of Rochester. So when they're working with families, they know you have this need. Okay, I know where you can get help in that area. Safe Schools grant. I think we already announced that we did receive that grant, which is going to allow us to hire a coordinator for the district. The LEAP program, first year of innovative program to address the needs of transition age youth with behavior disabilities. AmeriCorps Health Vista worker completed year 1 of their 5-year grant with the Minnesota College Compact to address student health outcomes, and then the new math curriculum for special education. In social emotional learning, behavior threat assessment team, this is when we have a student where we're really concerned that they may be at risk of maybe hurting themselves or others. We have individuals that can go out to that site and do a threat assessment of that student, determine what should we do, what's our next step. And then the student resiliency specialist, I think at one time I shared with you what we heard consistently from the students, as the high school especially. Sometimes when I go in for the counselors, I have a crisis and I can't get, they say, well, come back in a couple hours or come back tomorrow. I need somebody now. So this position at the 3 high schools is, they don't have a caseload. They're there just to put out fires, and then if continuation needed, they'll get assigned to one of the other counselors in there. So that were 3 new positions we added. Panorama student survey. This is information that regarding students' perception of school, not only school culture, but also their own social-emotional competencies. And we quickly administered that this past spring, but the plan next year is it'll be given twice a year to all students. And then universal social-emotional curriculum, this research-based, and we looked at a variety of different programs out there and adopted the second step. We did have 2 of our elementaries that have been testing that for, I think, at least a year, maybe a couple of years, and that helped us make the decision on what to roll out next year. The area of transportation, we've transported over 11. That can't be right.
I think it's 111, Mike.
I may have too many ones. We transported a lot of students. Let's just say that. 11 what? 11,000. Yeah, I thought I got one too many ones, so it's 11, a little over 11,000, almost 12,000 students on buses. We had 98 AM routes, 103 PM routes, 853 special education students using 30 bus routes in the AM and PM, and 24 noon routes, 430 special education students using vans, and bus mileage total is a big number there. There's your million. Van mileage, 385,000. But when you are a district of over 213 square miles, you're going to put a lot of miles transporting students around. Transportation contract, negotiated a new 5-year contract with First Students and Kennedy Transportation. District vans, we were able to lease space and move, so all of our vans are inside, so they aren't going to be out in the cold during the winter. That was new this year. And then Scott's department is working on the Bell Time Study Committee, looking at options for a changing this start times for secondary students. Construction facilities. This year, the new Hoover Elementary Early Learning Center, which is a 36,000 square foot addition to Hoover, and also at a cost of $8.1 million. And did indoor air quality project for $4.5 million at Hoover Elementary. Lincoln district-wide option also did an indoor air quality project for $6.5 million, and long-term facilities maintenance projects, multiple projects, the cost of $7 million, and did, if you remember, Andrew came and shared the 25-year equipment vehicle plan, replacement plan, which is something new. An area of radon testing, 7 sites this past year, which is part of our every 5 years, every site will be tested. And the same thing with lead in the water testing. Did 272 samples at 6 of our sites. And then cleaning plans, developed and instituted a building maintenance cleaning plan for each site using the most updated chemicals and square footage data and techniques that's out there. And that's the year. Somebody. Any questions?
Director Adamson.
Just a comment. I think that everyone who casts a vote in the referendum should have to read through this list before they cast a vote, because it's the behind the scenes, behind the black curtain work that happens, and we don't hear about it. Right. But it's a lot of work that's done, and anytime somebody questions what do all those people in the Edison building do, there's the answer.
Send them to the website. They can find board docs. They can see it. Yeah. All right, thank you.
Oh, there were two.
I was just going to say, I think it's great to see everything that you and the cabinet and the staff do as well. It's clearly a staff that doesn't feel that just the status quo is good enough and wants to do better all the time.
And is this available on our website?
It's not on the website yet, but it will be, but it is in Board Docs. So.
I feel like you guys all deserve a nap. I mean, this was a lot to get done. Wow.
Yeah, like I said, I think we get too busy and don't take the time to think what all we've done.
Yep.
So it was a good exercise for us.
Good attitude.
Yes, it was. All right.
Okay,